Welcome to the unknown past. In today's video, we'll be discussing the founder of the Ottoman Empire, who was Osman I, or well known as Osman Gazi. He was a Bey, which means the leader of the Kai tribe, after his father's Ertugrul Gazi, who controlled the tribe before Osman Gazi and controlled the nomadic tribe. Before I start talking about how Osman Gazi established the empire, I want to mention what the empire impacted. For example, when Osman built the foundation of the Islamic Empire, which allowed all Muslims to come together as one, that would expand over 3 continents, and it lasted over 600 years. Now let's get back to the video. Once Osman Gazi became the Bey, he rapidly increased in power, as he controlled some parts of land, which was once controlled by the Byzantine forces, and much more. Osman even gained trust amongst the other Beys of the Turkish land, as he held such bravery and courage that he refused to pay the Mongols taxes due to the Seljuk loss of the battle Kosudad in 1243 against the cold-blooded Mongols. Mongols were ruthless people, as they drank their own enemy's blood to gain inner strength as well as power. They even done black magic to an extreme extent, as they used it to brainwash young adults into killing machines with no emotions, as they erased everything, and they classed them as soldiers of the Mongolian warlords. One of them was Genghis Khan, which we'll make a video about him in the near future. Moving on, because of this event, the Seljuk costed a lot and even costed their own reputation. As they were so weakened, they became symbolic empire. I mentioned this as Osman Gazi put his foot down and refused to follow orders of the Mongols. Osman, without a doubt, was a skilled leader who spreaded justice to all of his lands until his death on the 1st of August 1326 in Bursa with his son Orhan Gazi, which we will also make a video about him. Moving on, as Osman refused to pay tax tribute to the Mongols, small to large tribes joined as a single force, and this potentially led to the foundation of the Ottoman Empire. Moreover, Osman conquered many lands, even before his beylik of the Ottoman dynasty, as it was before the Ottoman existed. This highly shows single-handedly how intelligent Osman Gazi was, as even before he had an empire, he still gained a massive amount of locations all around Anatolia. Many of you must be wondering, how did Osman Gazi conquer many castles without an empire nor connections beyond seas? Osman I conquered the castle Karashesa 1288, which was approximately 11 years before the creation of the Ottoman dynasty. This was such an honorable day for Osman Gazi, as he weakened the Byzantine forces as well as the trade market, and it significantly boosted his reputation, as now he has a trading market so that he can gain more influence to his tribe, as now people migrated from their homes to Osman's strongholds. No matter their background, they were all accepted, even if they're Mongols or Christians. Bear in mind, at this time, Osman Gazi had a big rivalry against the Mongols, as the Mongols were insane savages, as they killed innocents and wreaked terror amongst all lands. As I mentioned before, they did immoral actions. Fun fact, the Mongolian soldiers ate their own horses' heart, as they believed their horses were their companions and they should be within their souls when battling. This is one of many reasons why the Mongolian Empire increased so rapidly and expanded so quickly in that era, as they were feared amongst the people in those lands, as all tribes surrendered and gave the Mongols the right to control their tribe or land, and led them to create hostile environments and wreaking havoc across the entire Anatolia. The Gazi tribe became rich, as their main source of trade increased in profit, which was handmade rugs. Because of this led to Osman buying more troops, which they are known as Arabs, and this made the Ottomans eventually conquer significant important castles and hold a lot of power, which was under the rule of Osman Gazi, son of Ertugrul Gazi. Before Osman's many conquests, Osman had a unique dream in the year 1299 AD in Sogut. According to great legends, his dream was the main reason that Osman conquered many places in his lifetime. Moving on, Osman was a guest in Sheikh Edebali's household, As Osman was sleeping, he had a meaningful dream where a bright moon shining out of Sheikh Idabali's chest and entering into Osman's chest, and the half moon was engulfed by Osman's chest, and from his chest it sprang out a tree, like it was desperate to leave. The tree was growing out of him, covering the lands and even the whole world, and spread endlessly as the bright blue tree full of mystery, and one of those places that the tree hovered over was Asia, Europe and Africa. Fun fact, these places that I just mentioned was the Ottomans' territory and they controlled over. Once Osman awoke from this exotic, heart-taking, mighty dream, he teared up, yet no one knows why he teared up, but many believe, such as historians across all nations, believe that he teared up because of the hidden message behind this mighty dream. As when Sheikh Idabali came from his tent and came across Osman, he saw Osman in tears and he came towards him, leading to Osman telling Sheikh Idabali the dream he once saw. Osman told him every single thing in an extreme amount of detail, even the roots reaching across the seas and the whistling sounds of eagles and the chanting of Allahu Akbar, which means God is great in translation of English. Once Osman Gazi finished telling Sheikh Idabali the mighty dream he visioned, Sheikh Idabali then looked directly into Osman's eyes and gave him a smile, which made Osman Gazi quite confused, as he then asked the Sheikh, "What does my dream mean, and why are you so pleased?" Sheikh Idabali replied, saying, "This is a sign from Allah, and congratulations, as Allah trusts fully authority upon you and your future generation, and my daughter will become your wife, and you will conquer many places in the near future, and the whole world will become under your command, and after you have passed, the world will be under the protection of your children, which they will spread Islam to all lands and all nations upon the earth." Now, I know you guys must be wondering, why was this dream so significant and held such an importance? The simple answer to this is that the dream was foreshadowing the Ottoman Empire that lasted for 600 years, as well as becoming a caliphate and speaking on behalf of the Islamic world. Furthermore, I just want to note that in Turkish it's called Osmani, but the West renamed or translated it as Ottoman. Plus, this dream also impacted the world, as not only Osman but also future sultans of the Sultanate family tree, as they were inspired by Osman's dream, which was used for many things like nationalism and much more. However, the decline of the Ottoman Empire in the late 19th century and the early 20th century was at the peak of the Ottomans, as the British Empire had gained more strongholds and gained a lot of power such as land in that era, which pushed the Ottomans back and made the final stand. Moving on, Osman I conquered countless places such as Belecek, Intergol, Yelishek and Kolojesa. Even though he conquered many lands and castles, his last conquest was the land of Bursa, which is a city in modern-day Turkey. Osman Ghazi's last conquest held so much significant importance, as this could increase the expansion of the Islamic world and could gain a lot of power to his empire, as his main goal was to wipe out Bursa to get closer distance to Constantinople, which is a really huge stronghold for the Byzantine Empire, as it controls trade markets, important imports and exports, and much more, as it was founded in 330 AD by Emperor Constantine I. Comment down below if you want me to make a video about him, as he's really interesting. Now you know why Constantinople was a really big burden on Osman's shoulders. But despite that, he needed to conquer Bursa first. So Osman marched towards the northwest to Bursa with his son and his approximately 30,000 troops. Bear in mind, Osman Gazi gained all the Turkish tribes' leaders' trust and gained the soldiers of the other Turkish tribes and joined them as one force. They marched for 5 days just to lay siege towards the city of Bursa, and once he got there, Osman fell many times during the siege of Bursa, but 3 months later he was relieved as he conquered the city of Bursa. I also want to note that this was before the 15th century when the Ottoman Empire conquered Constantinople under the rule of Fatih Sultan Mehmed II, or highly known as Mehmed the Conqueror. I mentioned this as at that time of Osman, the Battle of Bursa weren't many warship vessels, as well as heavy cannons or even strong armoured armour, unlike in the 15th century. But they did use small cannons and small catapults, which was wooden, therefore it doesn't have a lot of mobility and strength, so it could break easily by a short amount of time used. Due to the siege, it had to be shot many times within minutes, so it created cracks and even malfunctioned. This cost the battle a lot, as the Christians had more advanced weapons and armour, and even a better defence system. Because of this, Osman increased taxes in Surgut and many places he conquered, and invested the money into workshops for more artillery for his soldiers. Surprisingly, he broke down the defence system, and the rest of the battle led to a melee combat, which Osman took advantage of the killing zone and placed troops in the side of the forest as a backup. Osman Gazi had to fool his enemies into advancing into a killing zone, about 100 meters or so, and once both opponents come together, eventually led to a melee combat. In this battle, you are dealing with two elite forces, the Byzantine soldiers and the Turkish soldiers, and when they are fighting against each other, they have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Melee combat is more brutal than anyone can imagine, as you are closer enough to smell what your opponent had to eat for breakfast. You are close enough to see the death light in their eyes as you ram a sword through their guts. Meanwhile, you have arrows flying through the air, and there will be the sounds of people screaming, both from battle cries and also from being wounded. In my opinion, this must be fighting in hell, as they are experiencing extreme agony. This battle lasted for many hours, as the swords of troops get weakened by minute due to the constant ramming blades into the opponent's skulls, spilling blood like a fountain and flowing down like a river. After this battle, Osman Gazi had few months left of his lifetime, so himself and his son Orhan Gazi placed laws of the potential establishment of the empire. They placed laws by two factors. One was the Islamic faith, as they combined it with another, which is the Turkish culture. One of many examples is how they greeted each other, as they kissed the elderly's hands, as it was a sign of respect, as hugging wasn't an option, as it was informal at the time. This concept belonged to many places, like the Byzantine Empire. One other was how they dined, as they sat on a handmade rug and placed small wooden tables in front of them, and ate with wooden spoons and plates. This concept is mixed with Turkish culture and Islam, as the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, done this action in his lifetime. This is a sunnah, which means a good deed, as you're following in the steps of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Furthermore, in that era, you could not shed blood from your own family bloodline, as that was one of many forbidden laws, same as killing prisoners of war. It was said that Osman never killed a prisoner of war, however there are sources that disagree. Because Osman Gazi and his son Orhan Gazi took control of many places, they had to appoint governors to control a certain amount of land. The governors kept things in precise order. They could not take action without Osman Gazi's permission, as that land belonged to him. In my opinion, Osman Gazi is a man whose life has never been documented to a level of detail of that of his descendants. A man whose life is surrounded by a few facts and many myths, such as it was said he had killed his own uncle after his father Ottoman Gazi's death during the late 12th century and the early 13th century. But you must know that this was denied and rejected by most historians and many other myths that have given rise to the legend. But one fact is crystal clear, which he laid the foundation for his son and others beyond him to build an empire and expand beyond land and seas. Before I want to finish, I want to mention a heroic tale of a Turkish warrior. As it mentioned, your dear forehead is like a broad open field, your eyes like two glowing jewels, your mane like rich brocade, your ears are like twin brothers, your back brings a man to his heart's desire. I shall not call your horse, but brother, better than any brother. This tale was from the Oghuz Turks. This inspired many warriors till this day. After Osman's death, it brought many disruptions, yet many conquests hereafter, as Osman gave people with nothing into people who have everything that a person can desire, like land, food, shelter, and even freedom. We have finally reached the end of this video about the founder of the Ottoman Empire. Thank you so much for listening. I genuinely hope you enjoyed it, and if you have, please leave a like, comment below, and subscribe if you're new around here. I shall see you next time.